Letter B. We're jumping back into our English Fluency ABC series, starting once again with our 7-day pattern. And day 1 of our pattern is all about vocabulary. And we're going to start with vocabulary that starts with the letter B. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. We're starting with the letter B, and the word is belligerent. Once again, belligerent. Excellent. Last time after me, belligerent. Excellent. Now this term belligerent just means hostile and aggressive, ready or eager to fight or argue, or characteristic of an enemy or one eager to fight. In English, we say belligerent, someone who's aggressive, always ready to fight. Now check out these example sentences using this word. His belligerent tone made it difficult to have a constructive conversation about the project changes. Sentence number 2. The belligerent customer was asked to leave the store after shouting at several employees. And finally, the diplomat warned that belligerent actions from either country could escalate the border dispute into a serious conflict. So, once again, starting with the letter B, we have belligerent. Excellent. Our second vocabulary word using the letter B. Again, the letter B is the key we're using for this lesson, English Fluency ABC series. The second word that we're going to be focused on using the letter B is benevolent. Benevolent. So, this term benevolent is also very important. Again, benevolent. Excellent. Last time after me, benevolent. Great job. Now this term just refers to being well-meaning and kind, or characterized by or expressing goodwill or kind feelings. Being kind to others, treating others with kindness. In English, we say benevolent. Now, here are some example sentences using this term. The benevolent CEO established a scholarship fund for employees' children pursuing higher education. Second, their grandmother was known throughout the community for her benevolent spirit and willingness to help neighbors in need. And finally, the foundation's benevolent mission is to provide medical care to those who cannot afford it. So once again, benevolent. Excellent. Now, our third vocabulary word, again, starting with the letter B, is another important vocabulary word for you to know in order to sound like a native English speaker. This term is bureaucratic. Yeah, it's a doozy. It's kind of a longer one, but again, bureaucratic. Good. Again, bureaucratic. Excellent. Last time after me, bureaucratic. Great job. Now, this just means relating to or characterized by bureaucracy. Overly concerned with procedure and red tape rather than efficiency or human needs. In English, we say bureaucratic. So check out these example sentences because they'll help you understand it even more. Here's the first example sentence. The bureaucratic process for obtaining a building permit required submitting the same information to 3 different departments. Next, many citizens feel frustrated by the bureaucratic nature of government agencies when trying to access basic services. And finally, the company's bureaucratic structure slowed decision-making and hindered innovation in a rapidly changing market. Once again, bureaucratic. Excellent. This is a term that starts with the letter B that native English speakers use on a regular basis. Now, I do want to remind you that if you want to practice what you're learning, you can download the English with Tiffani app. It's a free app to download. Download it to your phone, and everything that you're learning with me each week, you can practice on a regular basis within the app. Making the sentences, practicing your pronunciation, and so much more. So download the English with Tiffani app. The link is in the description. So I want us now to move to day 2 of our 7-day pattern. Again, focusing on the letter B. We're looking now at expressions that start with the letter B. Expressions that start with the letter B. Starting with beat around the bush. Again, beat around the bush. Last time after me, beat around the bush. Excellent. Now, this term beat around the bush means to avoid addressing a subject directly, or to talk about unimportant things because you are avoiding saying what is important or uncomfortable. You're beating around the bush, not talking about the main issue or the main idea because you're uncomfortable. We say beat around the bush. Here's the first example sentence using this expression. Stop beating around the bush and tell me directly whether you're accepting the job offer or not. Here's the second sentence. The politician beat around the bush when asked directly about the controversial policy change. And finally, I appreciate that you don't want to hurt my feelings, but please don't beat around the bush. Tell me directly, be honest, don't beat around the bush. So again, we have beat around the bush. Excellent. Now, our next expression with the letter B is another important expression. Remember, we are following the English fluency ABCs, and we're looking at letter B, helping you improve your English fluency following this pattern. So we have our second English expression starting with the letter B. It's bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. Again, after me. Bite the bullet. Excellent. Now, this expression just refers to facing a difficult or unpleasant situation with courage, or to endure a painful or unpleasant experience bravely and without complaint. Again, in English, we say bite the bullet. You're going to move forward no matter how difficult something is. Here's the first example sentence. I've been postponing my dental surgery for months, but I finally decided to bite the bullet and schedule it for next week. Next, the company had to bite the bullet and lay off several employees to avoid bankruptcy. And finally, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and apologize even when you don't think you're entirely wrong. So again, bite the bullet. Excellent. Now, our third expression, once again, is an important one using the letter B. We had beat around the bush. We had bite the bullet. And now we have our third expression that, again, is used by native English speakers. Back to square one. Back to square one. Last time after me. Back to square one. Excellent. Now, this expression just means to return to the beginning after a failed attempt, or to start over, or to go back to the planning stage. Let's go back to square one. Let's start over. Let's start again. Here's the first example sentence using this expression. After the client rejected our design proposals, we're back to square one with this project. Next, the experiment failed completely, so we're back to square one in our research. And finally, just when we thought we had resolved the software issue, it crashed again, putting us back to square one. You got it? Excellent. So again, back to square one. Great job. Now this leads us to the third day of our 7-day pattern. Again, looking at the letter B, and now day 3 is focused on idioms. Following this 7-day pattern, remember to improve your English fluency. Now, idioms that start with the letter B. Our very first idiom, again, remember starting with the letter B, our first idiom is burn the midnight oil. Again, burn the midnight oil. Last time after me, burn the midnight oil. Good. Now this just means to work or study late into the night, or to work very hard, especially during the night. We say burn the midnight oil. Now check out these example sentences using this idiom. The lawyer had to burn the midnight oil to prepare for the important case the next morning. Here's the second sentence. During finals week, students across campus were burning the midnight oil in the library. And finally, she's been burning the midnight oil for weeks to finish the manuscript before the publisher's deadline. So in English, again, burn the midnight oil. Great job. Now our second idiom, again, using the letter B, we had burn the midnight oil, and now we're moving to our next idiom. Keeping in mind, we're focusing on the letter B for this English Fluency ABCs series. And you're going to use these idioms as much as possible. And our second idiom, again, using the letter B, is bark up the wrong tree. Bark up the wrong tree. Last time now after me. Bark up the wrong tree. Excellent. Now, this just means to pursue a mistaken or misguided line of thought or course of action, to make the wrong choice, or to ask or accuse the wrong person. So we have 3 different definitions for this idiom. Bark up the wrong tree, but it's mainly about pursuing or following a misguided line of thought or action, barking up the wrong tree. Here's the first example sentence. If you think John took your laptop, you're barking up the wrong tree. He was out of town all weekend. He couldn't have done it. Next, the detective realized he had been barking up the wrong tree when the suspect provided a solid alibi. And finally, researchers spent years barking up the wrong tree before discovering the true cause of the disease. So again, in English, we say bark up the wrong tree. Now, our third idiom using the letter B. Our third idiom is also another one that's important. Our third idiom deals with, actually our third expression, idiom. Our third idiom is blessing in disguise. Again, this is a very good idiom. Blessing in disguise. Last time after me, blessing in disguise. Excellent. Now, this just refers to something that appears to be bad or unfortunate at first, but results in something beneficial or positive later on. At first, I thought it was going to be bad, but it ended up being for my good. Blessing in disguise. Now, here's the first example sentence. Losing my job was actually a blessing in disguise because it led me to start my own business, which is now thriving. Next, the flight delay was a blessing in disguise as it gave us time to meet another traveler who offered us valuable tips for our destination. And finally, her rejection from her top choice university proved to be a blessing in disguise when she received a full scholarship from her second choice. So again, we have blessing in disguise. Excellent. Now we're moving to our fourth day of our 7-day pattern. Our fourth day deals with phrasal verbs. Now, our first phrasal verb that we're going to focus on, again, phrasal verbs are very important for you as an English learner to make sure you master. And our first phrasal verb is going to be back up. This is a phrasal verb that native English speakers use on a regular basis. The first phrasal verb, again, back up. Excellent. Now after me, back up. Very good. This just means to provide support or evidence, or to make a copy of data for security, or to move backward, or to cause a delay or obstruction. So we have 4 specific definitions for back up, but we're going to look at some example sentences using this phrasal verb. Again, to provide support or evidence, hey, I'll back you up, or to make a copy of data, hey, I need to make a backup of this file. So let's check out the first example sentence. Make sure you back up all your important files before updating your computer's operating system. Make sure you make a copy of the data. Our next sentence is, her colleagues backed her up when she presented the controversial proposal to management. They supported her. Back up. And finally, the accident backed up traffic for several miles during the morning rush hour. It caused a delay. The accident backed up traffic. You got it? Excellent. So we have back up. Now we move to our second phrasal verb. Again, we're looking at phrasal verbs that start with the letter B. And our second one is break down. Break down. Last time after me, break down. Excellent. Now, this phrasal verb means to stop functioning, like I just did just now. To stop functioning. There you go. Yes, to stop functioning. Imagine if a computer did what I just did. I was acting and my words were paused. When that happens with your computer is not functioning properly. It's breaking down. Make sense? Good, good. All right, so it means to break down or stop functioning, or you can also use it to say you are analyzing something in detail, or you're losing control of your emotions, or collapsing physically or mentally. So there are 4 definitions for this phrasal verb. So let's look at some example sentences. Again, we have stop functioning. We have to analyze something in detail, which is what we're doing. I'm breaking down this pattern, the English fluency ABCs. I'm breaking down this 7-day pattern to help you improve your English fluency. Losing control, she broke down after her father passed away. Breaking down, you're losing control of your emotions, and then collapsing physically. So here's the first example sentence. Our car broke down on the highway and we had to call a tow truck. Our car, what? Stopped functioning. What about this example sentence? The coach broke down the complex play into simple steps that the team could understand. He analyzed it in detail. The coach broke down the complex play. Finally, she broke down in tears when she heard the devastating news about her friend. She lost control of her emotions. She was devastated. She broke down. Make sense? Yes, you got it. All right, now we're moving to our third phrasal verb, again, starting with the letter B. The phrasal verb that we're looking at now is also another commonly used phrasal verb. It's bring up. This is a phrasal verb that native English speakers use on a regular basis. Again, the phrasal verb is bring up. Think about people speaking with each other, all right? So again, after me for pronunciation practice, bring up. Excellent. Now, this means to raise a topic for discussion, or it can also mean to rear or raise up a child. So 2 definitions, to raise a topic for discussion or to rear or raise a child. In English, we say bring up. So just like we did for the previous phrasal verb, let's check out some example sentences that use different definitions of this phrasal verb. I'd like to bring up the issue of overtime pay during tomorrow's meeting. I'd like to raise up this topic for discussion. Next, they brought up their children to respect others and value education. In other words, they raised their children. Make sense? Yes. And then we have, can you bring up the sales figures on your screen so we can review them together? Can you raise this up for a topic? Bring it up. Show me this topic you want to discuss. Can you bring up the sales figures on your screen so we can review them together? Again, bring up. Excellent. So again, we're looking at the 4th day of our 7-day pattern. And I want to remind you, if you'd like to continue studying with me full time, you can join my course, the speakenglishwithtiffani.com. Go there, /365 plan, and you'll see the 365-day English study plan. Again, speakenglishwithtiffani.com /365 plan. Every day of the year, you'll have a lesson prepared just for you following this pattern that I'm teaching you. All right. Now let's go to day number 5 of our 7-day pattern. Now we're looking at sentence patterns, still focused on letter B, but we're going to look at a sentence pattern that uses the letter B. Our sentence pattern is before, the word before, then doing something, plus an individual or individuals, plus should, must, or need to, and then finally do something else. This is the pattern, but let me break it down a little bit more. So this is a sentence pattern that emphasizes the importance of completing one action prior to another action, often indicating a necessary sequence or prerequisite. So let's check out some example sentences that will help you understand this pattern even more. Again, the pattern before, the word before, remember the letter B, before and then doing something. Then we have a person or an individual or individuals, should, must, or need to do something else. Here's the first sentence. Before applying for a loan, you should check your credit score and address any issues. So the pattern before doing what? Before applying for a loan, you should do what? Check your credit score and address any issues. Here's another example sentence using this pattern. Before traveling internationally, passengers must ensure their passports are valid for at least 6 months beyond their return date. So before doing what? Before traveling internationally, passengers, what must they do? They must ensure their passports are valid for at least 6 months before their return date. Makes sense, right? You're seeing the pattern over and over again. And then this example sentence. Before implementing the new software, the company needs to train all employees on its features and functionality. So before what? Before implementing the new software, the company, the people that work at the company need to do what? Train all employees on its features and functionality. Makes sense, right? Yes. All right. Now it's time for us to move to day number 6 of our 7-day pattern, looking at the letter B, and now we're focusing on American culture. Remember, to improve your English fluency, you also must focus on understanding American culture. So for American culture, we have the letter B. We have our focus being something very interesting. This is a sport that many Americans enjoy. Let's see if you can guess. Many Americans enjoy this sport, and it's actually called America's pastime. Can you guess what it is? You got it. Baseball. Baseball is the culture that we're going to be focusing on, the aspect of American culture we're going to focus on. So, American baseball. Baseball, again, letter B. A bat and ball sport that has a significant part, man, I'm leaving this in there. Tongue twister. It's been a significant part of American culture since the late 19th century, often called America's pastime due to its historical popularity and cultural significance. Baseball is a very big part of American culture. And again, just like I emphasized in our last lesson for letter A, in order for you to move forward on your journey to speaking English fluently, you have to understand American culture and understand what Americans like to speak about. So let's check out some important points about American culture. First, the ritual of singing, "Take me out to the ball game, take me out to the..." I actually don't even like baseball like that, but I know this song because it's America's pastime. Now, this ritual of singing the song during the 7th inning stretch exemplifies how baseball traditions have become embedded in American cultural practices. Like I said, I don't even watch baseball, but I know this song. Here's the second important point. Baseball metaphors like stepping up to the plate, hitting it out of the park, and striking out have become common expressions in American business and everyday conversation. You're seeing now why it's so important to add this to your journey of learning English. These things come from baseball, a part of American culture. Hey, step up to the plate. We use that all the time. Hit it out the park. Man, I hit that project out the park. It came from a baseball analogy. And striking out. We wanted to get the proposal, but we didn't get it. We didn't get the contract. We struck out. Came from what? Baseball. This is why you must understand American culture. And finally, Major League Baseball's opening day each spring symbolizes renewal and hope for millions of Americans, marking the end of winter and the beginning of warmer weather. So people have this feeling of, they feel revived and they're ready for a brand new season of their life. This is why it's important to understand American culture. And this now leads us into day number 7 of our 7-day pattern, where we now get the opportunity to review what you've learned over the past 6 days. Now, in order to review the terms, we are going to look at and hear a story. The story will include the terms you learned connected to the letter B. Our story is called The Business Conference. Listen closely to recognize and identify the terms that you learned. Maria was nervous as she prepared for her first international business conference in New York. As a non-native English speaker who had been studying diligently for years, this was her chance to showcase her language skills and business acumen. The conference began with a challenging situation. A belligerent attendee was arguing loudly with the registration staff. Instead of joining the commotion, Maria approached with a benevolent smile and helped diffuse the situation by explaining the bureaucratic registration process in simple terms. "There's no need to beat around the bush," she told the frustrated attendee. "The system is complicated, but I can help you navigate it." Later that day, Maria was scheduled to give a presentation, but her laptop suddenly broke down 15 minutes before her slot. Rather than panic, she decided to bite the bullet and deliver her presentation without slides. "Sometimes technology fails us," she explained to the audience, "and we find ourselves back to square one. But that can be a blessing in disguise because it forces us to be more creative." Her presentation was so well received that several executives asked her to bring up her innovative ideas at the next planning meeting. One even offered her a job on the spot. That evening, Maria had to burn the midnight oil to prepare for the next day's networking events. She carefully reviewed her notes on industry leaders, knowing that approaching the wrong people would mean barking up the wrong tree. When a colleague suggested cutting corners on research, Maria replied, "Before diving into networking opportunities, you should know exactly who you're talking to and what value you can offer them." During the final day's baseball-themed network event, Maria impressed everyone with her knowledge of American sports culture. "I find baseball fascinating," she told a group of executives. "The way Americans use baseball metaphors in business, like stepping up to the plate or hitting it out of the park, helped me understand the culture better than any textbook." On her flight home, Maria reflected on how far her English skills had taken her. What had once been overwhelming vocabulary and confusing idioms had become tools that helped her connect with others and advance her career. All those hours practicing had paid off. She hadn't just learned English, she had learned to communicate effectively in any situation. This story took us into the world of Maria and also showed you how much you actually understood about the terms connected to the letter B. I'll talk to you in the next lesson.